Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tom Clark over at TFC IV MMA. We are back. It's UFC Charlotte Fight Week, and we are going to break it down for you guys. We got a clash of the heavyweights. We have Jairzinho Rozenstruik going up against Jailton Almeida, a classic striking versus grappling matchup. We have plenty of other great fights, too. The co-main event, Anthony Smith versus Johnny Walker. We have Ian Gary, Daniel Rodriguez. Plenty of great fights to break down for you guys as the UFC makes its return to North Carolina. I cannot wait to get into it with you guys, and we'll start with the first fight of the night. We have Jessica Rose Clark going up against Tanara Lisboa. This is going to be a pretty good fight. I mean, Jessica Rose Clark is on a little bit of a skid here. 2 straight losses by armbar. She was Stolienko, I believe, the last time out where she got armbarred very quickly, and then Egger the time before. And 4-4 total in the UFC, so 8-5 veteran. We know Jessica, she's been around for a while. Lisboa, this is going to be her UFC debut here. She's a former Muay Thai kickboxing champion. I was looking into her some, and some great striking. Only 5-2 total in MMA, though. She had a loss against Norma Dumont earlier in her career, but she is on a nice little 3-fight winning streak here. The odds are basically pick'em, with Lisboa as a slight favorite at -115, Rose Clark at -105. This one's going to be close, and I don't know. I just got to go with Lisboa here. On the win streak, whereas Jessica's on the losing streak. I think a lot of that is mental. Jessica obviously has a lot more experience against higher level competition. She has some good wins in her UFC career, but give me Lisboa to start off the night. Then we go to welterweight. We have Bryan Battle, the Ultimate Fighter winner. Beat Urbina in the final. I remember, because it was supposed to be Tresean Gore. Tresean got hurt. They did end up making the Tresean Gore fight once they were both in the UFC, which Battle did come out victorious in. And he had his first loss in the UFC his last time out, though. He was going up against Renat, and, I mean, he got dominated. He got controlled, the wrestling. He wasn't able to nullify it, not able to get any submission attempts off. And he comes as a slight underdog this time out at +110 against Gabe Green, who's about -135 in this one. Obviously, Green is coming off the loss against Ian Gary. He does have some great wins in his career, though, going up against Johan Lainus, Philip Rowe, so he has some wins that hold real merit. I do think Battle's grappling will be a nice little advantage here if he can get it down. We know he has slick submissions. He was able to submit guys like Andre Petrosky, who are phenomenal grapplers. So it'll be interesting to see how this fight plays out. I know Gabe Green's probably going to try and keep it standing, probably just try and use his boxing, but I do think Battle, he's a big welterweight. He fought at middleweight for a while, and I do think he will use the size. He will get it to the ground and get the submission. So, second fight of the night, we are going Bryan Battle at +110. Then we go to the women's division. I hate to say throwaway fight, because there are really no throwaway fights in the UFC. All these people are high level, but this is a throwaway fight. I mean, Kim is coming off 4 straight losses. Bohm is 0-2 in the UFC. Mandy Bohm was undefeated coming in, 7-0, but 2 straight losses. Young Kim is, like I said, 3-6 in the UFC, 4 straight losses. Ji Young Kim comes in at -215, so I'm going to go with the favorite. I'm going to be honest, this was one I didn't watch much tape or anything on, I hate to say it's a throwaway fight, but it's a throwaway fight, in my opinion, at least. Then we go back down. We got 170. Natan Levy coming at -250, going up against Pete Rodriguez. This is one I'm really excited about. Natan Levy is 2-1 in the UFC, coming off a pretty impressive win against Valdez his last time out at UFC Orlando. That was a great fight. Pretty dominant performance from him there. And Pete Rodriguez, I mean, we all owe him a thank you for his last performance. He knocked the F out of Mike Jackson. And if there's someone who deserves to get knocked the fuck out, it's Mike Jackson. Guy's a douche. So we all owe Pete Rodriguez a little bit of thank you. The bookmakers aren't giving him much thank you this time out, though. Natan Levy comes at -250, going up against Pete, who's +200 in this case. I think that's mainly the grappling of Levy. They see him kind of controlling the fight and getting it going. But I think Rodriguez is definitely very dangerous with the hands. His only loss in the UFC is against Jack Della Maddalena, and that's not one to hang your hat on. I mean, we saw what Jack did against a high-level opponent in Randy Brown. So I think people were kind of underestimated him for a bit. I know a lot of people, he was a heavy favorite, but a lot of people were picking Randy Brown to beat him, and Jack disposed of him pretty quickly. So the odds are pretty wide in this one, but you know what? I'm going to go Pete Rodriguez. I think he gets the knockout, maybe round 2, maybe round 3, but I am going to go Pete here, and I think he gets it done by knockout. Then we go back down to 135 for this one. Two veterans who have fought in some very high-level competition. We got Cody Stamann going up against Douglas Da Silva de Andrade. Cody's obviously coming off a win against Luan Lacerda his last time out at UFC Rio, and Douglas is coming off the loss against Said Nurmagomedov. So both coming off performances against tough guys. But if you look farther back, I mean, Cody Stamann, he did lose, but he's fought guys like Aljamain Sterling. De Andrade holds a win over Chito Vera. He did lose to Petr Yan. So, I mean, both these guys have fought high-level competition. These are two of kind of those guys lower in the rankings where if the UFC is wondering if you're legit, they're going to put you up against one of these guys because they're going to test you. Cody does come in as a slight favorite here at minus 155. Douglas is plus 130. And Cody was able to use the grappling his last time out. I think he does get a decision win here. That being said, let's go Cody Stamann, minus 155. Then this is a fight I am very emotionally invested in. It's a guy I've interviewed twice, a guy I really enjoy talking to. Heavyweight, Carl Williams. He's 1-0 in the UFC. Made his debut on that card at the Virgin Hotels, Jan versus Marab, and had a very dominant performance. He did look a little gassed that time out, but I think he's prepared for this fight. He comes in as a heavy favorite at minus 425 against Chase Sherman, who's plus 315. Obviously, Chase has been in the UFC 14 fights. He is only 4-10, and I think we all know when it comes to UFC, the heavyweight division is so shallow that they have these guys, Chase Sherman. There was that fight with him and Jared Vanderaa where everyone was saying loser has to get cut because these guys were both on losing streaks. But Chase did end up getting that win, but then lost to Waldo Cortez Acosta his last time out. So this is a fight where the odds are all saying Carl's going to dominate him. And I agree with that take 100%. I'm thinking either decision or late round TKO for Carl. I think he's going to use the wrestling, have a very wrestling, grappling, heavy game plan, take Chase down, put some damage on him, and I think he becomes 2-0 in the UFC. This is a guy that was a 205er, came up to heavyweight and has looked very good since doing it. I've talked to him. He said, yeah, I'm not making the cut anymore. I mean, this guy's did some training at Extreme Couture. He's doing rounds with Francis Ngannou, guys like that. We did break down his more recent training camp. He trains at Team Lima in Atlanta, but he actually did this training camp back at home in North Carolina. For those of you guys that don't remember, he was supposed to fight Chase Sherman on the Miami card, and Chase Sherman pulled out about 45 minutes before the fight was set to happen. So I know Carl's excited for this fight, and I think he gets a dominant victory. Then we go to welterweight. Two old men, I guess you could say, but two OGs of the fight game. Matt Brown, Court McGee. Two guys just tough as nails, kind of that country vibe. They got the beards, they got the hair, they're ready. And both guys are just badasses. Both guys coming off losses. Matt Brown's coming off the loss against Brian Barberena. Very close fight, though, that you can make the argument he won. And before that, he had the win over Diego Lima. Court McGee is coming off a very bad knockout against Jeremiah Wells. I mean, Jeremiah put Court the F out. So this is going to be a pretty interesting fight to see how it plays out. I think Court McGee deserves to be the favorite because of his grappling advantage, but I'm going to go with an underdog pick here, and I am going to go Matt Brown to get it done. Hopefully maybe we get one of those old vintage Matt Brown elbows in the clinch or something like that. Excited to see him back out there again. So this one should be good. Speaking of veterans, in the next fight, we got Tim, the Dirty Bird Means, going up against Alex Morono. Alex is a minus 220 in this one. Tim's at plus 180, so it's a 2-1 favorite. So I think they think Alex will get it done. He was looking very good against Ponzinibbio his last time out until he got caught at the end. I mean, he was beating Ponzi up, but Ponzi knocked him out at the last couple minutes of the fight. Before that, he beat Matt Semmelsberger, and that's a win that's aged extremely well. So he's been looking good. Tim Means coming off 2 straight losses, but against good competition. Kevin Holland, Max Payne Griffin, those are 2 guys who you can't hang your hat on those. Tim obviously has the experience in the UFC. He's had 25 fights with the promotion. Alex has had 16, though, so he's no slouch. And I don't know. I got to go with the favorite here at minus 220. Give me Alex Morono. Then we go to 205. I know this is a fight a lot of people are looking forward to, but not for the best reason. It's Carlos Ulberg going up against Ihor Potieria. Ulberg is minus 475. I mean, I think we all know how the odds makers see this fight going. they have a common opponent. I hate to use MMA math, but I believe it's Nikolai Negramenu is how you pronounce it. Carlos knocked him out early his last time out, and Nikolai beat up Ihor pretty bad. Ihor is coming off a knockout win against Shogun Rua, though, what was Shogun's retirement fight in Rio, and Ihor did knock him out. And why I said a lot of people are looking forward to this is Ihor taunted Shogun after the fight, and a lot of people didn't like that. So a lot of people are hoping Carlos Ulberg will knock him out, and it's looking like the odds makers agree with you. So I am going to agree. Carlos Ulberg probably gets the knockout win here. Then we go back to the welterweight division. Ian, the future, Gary, going up against D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez. This is going to be a good fight. I mean, both guys very good on the feet, good boxers. Ian Gary's undefeated, I believe 11-0, 4-0 in the UFC. D-Rod's 7-2 in the UFC, but he's coming off a very... I think these odds would be a lot closer if it wasn't for his last performance. So he had the split decision win against Li Jingliang, where a lot of people thought he lost. And then his last time out, he went up against Neil Magny, and he did not look good in it. I mean, he got beat up pretty bad by Neil. So he comes into this fight at plus 235. I do think there is some value in Daniel Rodriguez at plus 235, because I think the odds makers are somewhat making up for the last performance. But... and especially after Ian's last fight, I mean, he got dropped by Song Kenan. That was a big hit. I was there live for that fight. He ate a big shot. So it's going to be interesting to see how the chin is, but pick-wise, I got to go Ian Gary. Then we go to the co-main event. Light heavyweight, 205 division. This is going to be a good one. Anthony Lionheart-Smith going up against Johnny Walker. I mean, any of you guys that have watched my videos for a while, you know I'm not huge on Anthony Smith. I'm not a big fan of the guy. I think he talks an insane amount of shit. And then every time he faces the top tier in the division, he gets beat pretty badly. So I'm not his biggest fan. He's a veteran in the UFC, 18 fights total, 11-7, so a pretty good record. He's fought for the title. He lost to John Jones. He's coming off a loss against Magomed Ankalaev his last time out, in one where he said he broke his ankle, but then he was ready to fight. So there's a lot of hearsay here. We don't really know what happened, but that was last July where he lost against Ankalaev. Ankalaev, of course, went on to fight for the title against Jan Blachowicz. And Johnny Walker is kind of on a little career resurgence here. I mean, he was on a little losing streak where he had the fight against Thiago Santos, where John Kavanagh had said he was going to make Johnny more composed. In the Thiago fight, he was too composed, to where it was a very boring 5-round decision on a fight that none of us thought would go over a couple rounds. Then his next time out, he gets knocked out brutally by Jamal Hill. But since then, he has looked phenomenal. He submitted Iwan Kutalaba, he beat Paul Craig by knockout, and now he goes in a pick'em fight against Anthony Smith. Both guys are minus 110 on the book I use, so pick'em odds to the T. And it's going to be good. See if Anthony Smith can use the grappling or even his striking to get it done. But I do not see that happening. I like the Johnny Walker we've seen the last couple times out. I think there will be a massive size advantage for Johnny Walker. And I think Johnny Walker gets it done by knockout. There we go. Pick for the co-main. And then we go to the main event. Like I said at the start of this video, guys, this is a classic striking versus grappling matchup. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, phenomenal kickboxer, several accolades in kickboxing. Jailton Almeida, a grappler to the highest regard, especially in the UFC heavyweight division. He's looked phenomenal. He has kind of that Hamzat Chimaev run where he's only eaten like 10 significant strikes in his UFC career. He's looked great. And in this one, as much as I want to give you a full detailed breakdown, there's no need. I think Jailton Almeida gets the win, TKO or submission in the first round, and I think he gets it done. That being said, though, it's going to be a great night of fights in Charlotte. I cannot wait to watch them with you. Let me know what you guys think. We got an early start time. I know the prelims start at 11:30. I believe the main card starts at 3. So it's going to be good. I can't wait to watch them. Let me know what you guys think will be fight of the night or any of your locks of the night. My lock of the night is going to be Carl Williams to win, and I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Thank you.